became depressed as a young child. I wanted to end my life, not because I wanted to die, but I wanted my family to feel bad.
We may look different and live in different countries, yet our stories are knitted with the same threads of excitement, uncertainties, challenges, and victories. As we journey through the ups and downs of life, it is our undeniable will and God's strength that propel us to joy after pain, smile after frowns, and ups after downs. We were born to win. We were destined to greatness. We are overcomers. Welcome to God's Scoops, raw and unedited stories. Welcome to Raw and Unedited Stories. This is a place where stories are shared to uplift, encourage, and brighten your day. Today with us is Dayle Thompson, aka Dayle T. Welcome, Dayle T, to Raw and Unedited Stories. How you do today, my brother?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Sister Pat. Thank you so much for having me on your show, and you're doing a good job as well. Really a pleasure being here.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to talk to our listeners and viewers about your story. But before we begin to talk about your story, Dayle T, where
Yes.
are you from in this world?
All right. So I consider myself from a popular place. I'm from Linstead, St. Catherine, and you would know the song from, I think it's Miss Lou, Carry Me Akigo Linstead Market, not a quality word sell.
Of course.
I'm from that little town in Linstead in a small district called Wakefield, Savannah. So that's the more exact location, Linstead, St. Catherine.
Okay, so where are you now? Where in the world are you hiding?
All right. So life brought me to a place called, well, the country is United Arab Emirates, and I'm in Abu Dhabi. That's the capital of the UAE. So that's where I'm currently living since 2020. My family moved here, and I was alone in Jamaica, so I decided it was a wise decision to join them as well. So that's where I'm at now.
That's interesting. Thank
Yeah.
you for taking the time all the way from across the seas to talk to us on Raw and Unedited Stories, Dayle T.
Yeah.
Now, Abu Dhabi? That's the name?
Abu Dhabi. Abu
Abu
Dhabi. Yeah.
Dhabi. Yes. How is Abu Dhabi? And how is your impact there as a Jamaican?
All right, I think I'm not sure of how many Jamaicans are here, but so far I think it's good. It's a nice, friendly country. You find they call it the melting pot of several nationalities. You find somebody, you find a national from everywhere, Caribbean, places in Asia, Africa, you name it. You're always meeting different persons, and it's safe. That's one of the good things. It's not like a thought. It's safe. I feel safe, especially with where I'm from and my background and everything. So that's one of the things. Very high tech. So I mean, you have to really be up to the times with everything technology, and a lot to learn. So it's good. It's good.
Pretty interesting. So,
Yeah.
what profession do you do there? What do you do? And your family? What are you
All
involved
right.
in?
So we are educators. For now, it's new to me. My wife is an educator. She's a guidance counselor. But for me, I'm just venturing into special education. A very interesting field, and I'm learning so much from it. And that's one of the things we'll talk about it further in the interview in terms of the transitioning, and then you have to adapt to new things, and that's one of the gifts that God has given us. We don't just roll over and die. We try to reinvent ourselves, and find new paths to success. So that's really what I'm doing now. And entrepreneurship as well, I've been doing that from back home. So but my main 9 to 5 now is in special education. That's my field now.
A versatile young man indeed. because
Yeah.
I understand you're the minister of music, also
Yeah.
a radio broadcaster, a
Right. Right.
father too, and a husband. Versatility is in your bone. I can see that.
Yes.
So,
Thank you.
Dale, tell us your story. What's your story, and how did you overcome? Let's talk about that.
All right. Interestingly, when I was um asked to be on the show, I started thinking, I'm saying to myself, whoa, I've watched so many different people on various shows, and I'm saying, well, they have a story. What's mine? And I started thinking back on, various things that has happened in my life from growing up. I am the fifth of 11 children, so I'm from a very big family. But one of the blessings with that is that we're all one mother, one father, and we grew up together. We shared everything. You know, things was a bit rough sometimes, but guess what? We trusted God. We're a Christian family. My mother and father, I was born seeing them as Christians, and they are still serving God today. Very active in church as well, and that's one of the good things. So, I mean, growing up in Linstead, number five of 11, later in my life, I learned so many things about even the position I fought in my family, because a lot of things happened to me when I was younger and I couldn't understand them. I was angry with myself, angry with God, angry with my family for various reasons. And I'll say some things on this show that maybe even some of my family members have never heard. My wife and maybe a few close friends would have heard, but some of my family members wouldn't have heard some of those things. But being number five of the family, I mean, Patricia, you're talking to me now, and I'm talking to you. As brave as I am, I was the most laid back, introverted person up to my early 20s. I just never had no interest talking to anybody. I was very quiet all through my school life. I was very quiet, didn't interact much. I would internalize everything. So I would be dying and nobody would know because I internalized everything. And it was not until I went to college. I'm jumping it a little bit, but it
Yes.
was not until I went to college and with the training, public speaking, training to become a minister and everything, that kind of brought me out of my shell. I realized, hey, I have a story to tell. I could talk, I could sing, I could minister, and those things happened. But before that, though, growing up in Linstead, it was challenging with a family. We never had much, and God saw us through. I saw my father and my mother struggle, just to provide for us. They never had the education that we were privy to know, and they did their best just to make sure we were okay. But we had our own struggles. I struggled with low self-esteem. I just thought I had things in my head that I wanted to be, but just never thought it would happen. I go through school, never talked to anybody about things I was going through. I was facing things at home, and looking back, when I became an adult, I realized a lot of the things that were happening to me in my family were just things that nobody was really responsible for. It was just a thing that happens in families.
Right.
But it got to me at a certain age. I think at about age 9,
Mm-hmm.
I became suicidal. And it was something. I know if my mom should watch this show, she would might be surprised about it. But I became depressed as a young child. I wanted to end my life, not because I wanted to die, but I wanted my family to feel bad. That was what the enemy was telling me.
Wow.
And while I was thinking about this today, there's an artist in Jamaica that loves to talk about purpose cannot die, and that was what I heard in my head.
Mm-hmm.
That purpose cannot die. And if I should even term this show today, I would maybe say purpose cannot die. Because at age 9, I don't know anything about, you know, what's happening in the world, but the devil was telling me, hey,
Mm-hmm.
yourself. And I remember there's a tree in the back of my house right now in Linstead, a Nisberry tree. You're from Jamaica, so you would know that fruit. We
Yes.
always we eat from that tree so often, and every summer when it's ripe and we feed from it. We share it with the community. But that was a tree I climbed and I had a piece of rope. This is a real thing. I mean, most of my family looking at watching this show at some time might be surprised, but it was something the enemy was telling me. You're going through stuff, you don't feel like anybody love you, you feel like you're not wanted, you feel like other family members are preferred over you. So just end it. Let them feel bad. Let them live the rest of their lives feeling bad. But
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you tonight, my sister, the devil was just trying to stop what is happening now. Because
Right.
when I understand how precious life is now and all the different areas that God has been using me to bless other people, I'm only saying, devil, you lose one more time. Because if I listened to him and jumped from that tree, that would have been it. I would have lost my soul. And so many lives that have been touched through my ministry. I don't know because I don't walk around asking people, but I know when I do something, I do it from my heart and I just ask God to let it be pure, let it be ministry, let it come only from Him.
Yeah.
So that was one of those little moments.
Yeah.
I later got saved at age 12, and that was another story because if my father,
Dayle
when,
T, but
yes,
before you go there, let me
yes,
interject. And a very interesting start of your story.
yes,
And I know that children who come from a home with many children, sometimes they've become alone, and because it's so much attention that you can get
yes.
from parents. Would you say that that was some of your triggers, or there were other triggers that caused you to feel depressed and got to the point where the enemy would be telling you to end it?
Yeah, I think one of the main thing is that I was quiet and an introvert, a natural introvert. So whatever is in my head is just in my head. My brothers would not know, my sisters would not know. So
Mhm.
it would have been difficult. So I was not expressing myself in any way. So there's no avenue of expression. So whatever I'm feeling, I feel like, hey, this one is loved more than me, that one is preferred more than me, and all those things would just amount to you feeling, hey, then what's the sense? I'm not needed here.
Mhm.
So I think those are some of the reasons why I got in that, little state of, I would say, craziness to say, this is what I'm gonna do. So I think
Yeah.
that's it.
I thank you for sharing that because it's very important, because many children go through that and their parents don't even know. And that's the reason why we talk about listening to our kids.
Yes.
And I just want to, move forward to talk about, yes, your salvation experience at age
Mhm.
11, you said?
12, at age
12.
12.
12, yes.
Yes. So, I was counting this morning because I counted, I think the last time I checked it was about 25 years, but I couldn't believe this morning when I checked from 1993 to 2002. It's 29 years if my math is correct since I've been serving God. And I share a song with you at in the show that really it shows what that experience has been like. And that's the first song I released. And it's like a song coming from me. It's when you listen to the song, it's really what God has done for me. And getting saved at age 12 was still, was young, I mean, immature, but I knew I needed God. And if someone else is watching tonight, and we will see so many times people feel that because you're young, and we are seeing it on the news, the young, the old, the in the middle age, everybody is dying. So I know I needed God. I know there was a call of God on my life, and I got saved at age 12, and God started using me from a very early age, singing, doing ministry at church, trying to do community outreach, and the list goes on. It continued from there in terms of the ministry. I mean, and that was birthed from my parents, the example they have set as Christian parents. We had to go to church, we had to be in Sunday school, we had to be in the services, even if we have to fall asleep at church, but we have to be there. That was a must. So very interesting, and it continued all through high school, I've been doing music, doing ministry, and God has been opening up those doors until I felt a greater call on my life to go into college, into Bible college. And at the time, it wasn't the traditional thing to do because leaving high school, I always wanted to be a radio broadcaster. That was, if I could think of anything growing up, I always mimic Barry G and Richie B and a couple people on the radio, just dreaming that one day I want to be on the radio. But
Amen.
for some reason, I felt this impression to go into Bible college to be trained as a minister because I saw that there was a need in my community for someone with some training, with some experience, someone with a passion to, try to win the young people for
Yeah.
God. And, that was how the desire came about to go into Bible college.
So, Dale, just talk to us about, thank you for sharing that. And, the purpose that you have is very interesting and encouraging.
Yes.
And I just want to talk to us about just your experience as a minister of music and also your experience just as a youth minister and leader as well.
Mhm. All right. It comes with a lot of highs and lows. And one of the main thing, which is why I say purpose cannot die, is I went to college, graduated after 3 years, went back to my community, and I felt I was not accepted. Meaning the same minister, he's passed now, and I have utmost love and respect for him. And but this is what I'm saying, which is nothing that's a secret. I went back and I felt, whoa, 3 years of my life. I went back, I think I was 22 years old, and I went back. And for one whole year, I was at church and I was not even asked to do the opening prayer or anything at all. Just imagine a young man, you have given up. I could have gone to college, I mean, a traditional college, but I went back with this desire to serve. And I feel as if, whoa, rejection again. Why did I waste 3 years of my life to go into Bible college? And now I'm coming back. It's like nothing. And this was how I ended up venturing out of the community in search of jobs because I never wanted to be a full-time minister at the time. But I went back with this energy and the knowledge from college. I wanted to serve. I didn't go back wanting to take over or anything.
Right.
Even to this day, I've never seen myself as a frontline minister running a congregation. If the calling is there, maybe I'm hiding. But I know I just wanted to serve as a support, as a young minister. It didn't happen. I ended up sending out some applications with a friend of mine from Montego Bay. Um, I did an interview at Love FM. That at that time they were on Carlton Crescent. I can't forget the address, 12 Carlton Crescent, Kingston 10.
Mhm.
Sent an application there. I didn't have any qualifications to be a radio broadcaster, but I had a desire. I say, I'm out of college now. Maybe this is the best thing. Try to get a job on a radio station and try to build a career. So I did an interview there. I did an interview in Montego Bay a few days after at Hot 102 on St. James Street. It turned out that none of them called me back. I was there working at a call center. I got a job at a call center, still watching the phone every day and trying to see, hey, I'm gonna get a call to be a radio announcer. Didn't happen, and I was there until God opened a different door for me to enter into national security, and that is where everything started to turn. I entered into national security, and it was really, really a challenging period in my life. But I saw where God used me all through that period. So,
Dale,
yes, go ahead.
thank you. I just wanted to interject again here because before you even move on to that period of your life,
Right.
I want to tap into the issue of just being involved in church ministry and some of the challenges that ministers face and young people who are going into ministry. Sometimes the challenges are surprising because you're thinking that people would just be lining up to grab you into those areas and ministry, but sometimes it's a challenge. What did you learn about yourself during that time of weight?
All right. I learned humility because I remember back in college, they told us that you might go back home and things change. As a minister, you have to expect the unexpected, because you spend 3 years full time in college learning all of this, going out on missions. So you're going back with all this energy. Hey, I'm burning for God. I'm ready to do this.
Yes.
But it taught me humility, and it taught me to wait on God, and I'm still waiting, because I will tell you more about it, which is why I try to always maintain that relationship with God. And if anybody watching this show, you need to know your calling. If you know your calling, then things won't stress you like it stress other people. Because I'm not running for positions, I'm not running for titles. I just want to serve, because when I read the Bible, that is what I see Christ did on earth. That's what I see his disciples and other people. So titles really don't matter to me as long as I'm doing what I know God has placed in my heart to do. So that's the heart of my ministry, doing
Amen.
exactly what God wants me to do. So young people, you might be all over the place wondering, but the call that is on your life, you need to focus on that. Maintain that relationship. Pat, Sister Pat, I've tried so many times to backslide. I've tried so many times to run away from music ministry. I've tried so many times to say, hey, I got to do road. I want to feel a road feel like. You
Yes.
grow up in a Christian home and you can't get to use the hide at the back of the house and shake your legs to some a sound system that was down the road, but you can't make a parents see you. And it gets to a point when I want to explore, I want to do road, I want to know what road feel like. You want, trust me, this nice dress up thing Sunday morning, no. And
Right.
that was when pressure started to hit, because I'm saying, hey, there's still a calling on your life. What are you doing? You need to
Yes.
still maintain that relationship
Right.
with God. So it has been ups and downs since
Yeah.
that time, the age of, I said, I went in college 19, 20, thereabout. It has been ups and downs. I would need about 3 shows to tell you about that.
And then we
But
can.
I know the call of God is on my life, and it doesn't matter, no position, no church to say, hey, I'm a youth pastor here or whatever. I've gotten my runs in ministry, but
Right.
I realize God is making his way in my life the way he wants it. It's not my timing, because my timing is going to stress me out. But
Yes.
his timing is perfect. And with all the ups and downs, now living in a Muslim country, thousands of miles away from my home country, I can only say God's hand has to be on my life for all of this to be happening.
Dale,
So yes.
um, before you continue to talk about your security job experience, and I want you to talk to us a little bit about your handling of experiencing territorial personnel in ministry. Because sometimes in different institutions, whether in teaching,
Mhm.
whether in nursing, whatever institution, people experience people who are just territorial. How did you deal with that?
All right. So I I found out that I have seen it in a lot of ministries where the resident pastors, and I love pastors. I have nothing against anyone, but I've seen it firsthand where a lot of pastors are threatened by younger ministers for whatever reason. So they shift their focus from mentoring to shielding, as you talk about territorial, and that's what I see it damage a lot of people, because all of a sudden you think this young man is coming to take over your church or take over your ministry. And I'm saying, if this is your ministry that God has given you, we are all replaceable. But the spirit of mentorship should be evident in every church to bring people up, because people like me, bursting with energy, wanting to serve, I want no position, I just want to serve, but sometimes it becomes problematic. So in my first church, the first church I was a part of in Linstead, I respectfully wrote the pastor a letter and I moved on. And I didn't move on because I was not um, given a position or anything. Because I was eventually ordained and I started serving in the youth department. But I started feeling out of place in my spirit, and I weighed my spirit for a couple months because I wanted to be sure this was not self, this was not pride, this was not me feeling, hey, now you're experiencing outside the community, so you don't want to be here, you're better than them. It wasn't anything like that, because even if I go back to Jamaica now, I'm still going there to visit. I have a good relationship with everybody. But the territorial thing, I found out there was a reluctance to allow me to do things. There were a lot of things I wanted to do as a young minister in the church, in the youth department, and I was scolded for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I found out and I learned, even in church history, especially if a church is traditional, you find these kind of territorial things because they protect the tradition, they protect things that they don't want to change,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's a stumbling block in getting souls in the kingdom. A lot of
Thank
time,
you.
that
Thank you,
was
sir.
a challenge. That was a
Thank you,
challenge.
dear. Thank you for sharing that challenge and be so candid with that, because I'm
Yeah.
sure many people can identify with that as well. Uh,
Yes, yes.
so let's talk about your experience as security that you were, telling us. Yes.
All right, so I served up until the point I moved to Abu Dhabi. I was serving in national security and as an investigator. Several training courses locally and overseas as well. And God has used that experience to teach me a lot of things. And one of the biggest challenge working in national security is maintaining your integrity and who you are. Not many people can do that because you're entrusted with so much power, you're entrusted with so many different uh, opportunities that come at you, corruption, all kinds of things, and it challenges you on a daily basis to remain true to who you are and true to God. And God has allowed me to go through 15 years. Thank God for allowing me to live in one piece. Many close calls, many challenges, many pressure, internal pressure, external pressure. But God has kept me, and I can say today that I still walk with my integrity. I can keep the flag still high as a person serving God. I wasn't perfect. I'm not a perfect person. I don't want anyone to watch the show to think, hey, this is a perfect young man. No. I've had my fair share of challenges all through my life. But I realize trusting God and knowing the relationship, and I would mention that several times. If I never had a relationship with God, you would not be having me to talk tonight because several times I wanted to give up. Even while I was serving as praise and worship leader at my former church. Well, still my church, in Old Harbor New Testament. And I was going through a lot of struggles, personal struggles, struggles in my marriage, all kinds of things. And I wanted to give up. I wanted to give up. But I will tell you some more about that. I will tell you
Yeah.
some more about that. But national security was, that was my main employment for, as I said, 15 years. God brought me through on the safe side, and I'm really grateful for that. Really grateful for that.
Thank God for that. Dale,
Yes,
tell our listeners,
yes.
how did your previous challenges support your new life, your new experience, where you're living now and as a family man and a minister?
All right. So it has my previous experiences has helped me know to be patient. And for those who know about me, I transitioned in the heart of the pandemic, and you were one of those persons I connected with during the pandemic through an event you were doing. But I transitioned when I landed here on a Friday, and Monday there was a total lockdown of everywhere. I did not. That was in March. I did not even get my documents processed till August. And trust me, I have learned, as you asked the question, to trust God through all of this. I think I was going crazy some days. Some days I didn't talk to my family any at all. I was just locked in a room. I would sleep morning, noon, and night because I'm saying, "Whoa, what did I do with my life?" So it was a challenging period, but I've learned to connect my inner strength from my former life, my job, my ministry, things I've been doing, to use that to encourage myself, because the transition is a quick one, but it's a big one, and you have to be open to a lot of things. The challenges of language barrier, the challenges of different nationalities, different norms and customs, and also not being able to do things you normally do back home. It became very challenging, but so far God has been faithful to me and my family, I must say. Through the roughest of times, we have seen God's faithfulness, and I don't think I can emphasize that enough. That He is a faithful God, and if you're watching this broadcast and you think God is not faithful, you're mistaken. I can testify that He is a faithful God, and
Amen.
no
Amen.
one can be more faithful than He is. I don't deserve a lot of things that God does for me. I really don't deserve it, but He has always been faithful to me, and I'm thankful for that.
Amen. Dale, thank you for sharing that. And I know that you write music. So tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about the type of music you write and what is your purpose, your motivation and of those messages. Talk to us a
Mhm.
little bit about those messages from those songs.
All right, so I've been writing very early in my Christian life. I've been singing cover versions of songs from I was even before I got saved, and right through my early Christian life, I was a part of a music group called the Lower Lights. It was a country and western gospel group. So right through high school, I was a part of that group, the bass player, and I learned the guitar first, and then the knowledge just transitioned over to keyboard. So I can play a few instruments, but my writing really started. The first song I wrote, I have not even recorded that song yet. I wrote that song maybe about almost 20 years. I've never recorded that song, but I wrote that song sitting on the step of my house one Sunday evening because I was feeling pressured from the church. And I mean, a lot of young people can attest to the fact that churches sometimes can bash you as a young person for even no reason at all. You're just being bashed left, right, and center. And I sat down one Sunday evening. I didn't go to church for the night service, and I just wrote a song, and that song was just pouring out what was inside of me. Later, I wrote another song, which was the first song I recorded. I'll share that with you. And I find that my writing style is one of, I would say, it's a timely kind of writing. I never sit down any day and say I'm going to write a song. I wait on God to bless me with a song. It could be from inspiration of praise and worship. It could be maybe listening to another song because I am musically inclined. I might listen to another song and God might just give me a spin off to it. And I would write maybe the first line, maybe the chorus. And if I don't hear anything else in my spirit, I leave it and I go back to it to finish whenever that is. So I think my writing style is a timely one, and I listen to the spirit of God because I'm not writing a song for the hype. I'm not writing a song for people to just jump and be happy, and then when they go home, they remember nothing I say. I prefer to do one song, and you can hear something from it, and you can be blessed by that song. And God has been blessing me over the years. I don't have 100 songs and 50 songs like some people, but I have a good amount of songs, and I just wait patiently on God to bless me with the others as they come. So some of my songs are very slow and contemporary. Some of them are reggae upbeat. Some have a little bit of DJ, but it's something that you can listen to and be blessed by it. I hope that that does it.
Dale, can you share one of those songs with us now?
All right, all right. No problem. And just before I share this song, and it's my personal testimony. And I went through a period in my life, which is a part of what I'll share with you tonight before I share this song. And I was going through a period, and in ministry, and this is what young people you need to know, because I know a lot of people, young people, a lot of people watching this show might think, hey, it's smooth sailing and God is going to use me here and he's going to use me there. None of us knows where God is really going to use us, and it's just for us to be humble, know the ministry that God has called us for, and try to operate in that, in that realm. And what I find was happening to me, I was at church ministering, doing music, singing, playing, everything, and just pouring out, pouring out. And I believe I got dry out. I mean, every one of us get to that point when you run flat. And
Burnt out, like a
you
burnt out. Yeah.
burnt out. I started feeling so discouraged. I felt like my ministry was not making an impact or anything. I reached out to my pastor and I told him I needed a break. I think he's so busy he didn't even realize. I mean, your praise and worship leader reach out to you to say, hey, he needs help, he needs a break, but you're not really getting it. But we understand they are busy. There are so many people reaching out to them, and we understand. But I went through a period when I was really searching for this level of mentorship, spiritual mentorship. And I'm still looking, and I pray that God will just bless me with that kind of ministry, that kind of um, in terms of ministers who will mentor and support and help me to bring out the call that God has in my life. And I remember for a few months I wasn't going to my church. I was just driving out randomly on a Sunday morning, not knowing where I wanted to go. I just know I wanted to go to a different church. I didn't want to go to any church where anybody recognized me to ask me to sing or to do any. I just wanted to blend in the congregation, get the word, and go back home. Discouraged, I mean, cast down. That was how I was going through. But I'm going to tell you very quickly. I went to two places in that period of months. One of the places I went to the church, I didn't know the church before. I was just driving. I went to one of our churches in Maypen, and for some reason, my spirit was not giving me to stay. I went back in the car. Even my wife was a bit upset. She said, "Why you keep driving around? We need to stop somewhere. It's getting late." She didn't know what I was going through. I was just perplexed. I was just searching for somewhere that I could hear God talk to me. And I drove in a churchyard just out of random selection. And I was there until the service was over. Usually, if I visit a church, I'm not going to sit there until all the formalities are done at the end of the service. But for some reason, God had us there sitting. I was way at the back. And I didn't know, apart from the keyboard player, I didn't know anybody else. I was sitting way at the back. And the pastor was just ministering to the people, very quiet. The music was playing very low, and I was just sitting there. Like, I was looking at my wife, and I was trying to say to myself, well, we need to go because this is just their thing now. We are not members here or anything. And my sister, the pastor pointed to the back of the congregation, and he said, you. And you know, we like to dodge. At this time, I know it was me, a middleman attack. He said, you come. And I went up to the pastor. I walked up to him. I didn't know what this man was coming up with. Because, you know, sometimes, you know, in the spiritual world, I'm very careful with who speaks over my life, who anoints me, who touches me, and stuff like that. But I walked up in obedience and I went up to the man. And trust me, the man, at the time I was 13 years in my job, and the pastor called me up and he said to me, and I'll share this with another quick story very quickly before I play. He said to me, 13. And when he said 13, immediately I know this was God talking, because this man don't know me. I've never seen him before, but this is how he started to say. And he said, how long you in your job? I said, 13 years. The man said, church, I don't know, but God just showed me this man. I said, 13. And he asked me another couple of questions about having a house and stuff like that, plans to move and stuff. And he told me, he said he don't know what God is showing him, but God showed him, like, I'm going on a road all the way up and then a sudden turn and whatever. In my head, I'm thinking this man was talking prophetically about the move I was going to make, which I didn't even know. We didn't even tell him anything. At that time, my wife was preparing to transition, and that was the first time God started to talk, and he shared with us, prayed with us, and sent us his on our way with his blessings. The next time I went to another praise and worship conference in Manchester, still hiding from God, because I'm just on a break. I don't want to be recognized. I don't want to be serving, nothing. I was just going through a low, dark place. And I went to this service in Manchester maybe about a couple weeks after. And I was in the service just worshiping. It was a really charged worship session. Young people from all over Jamaica come for the weekend. And I was just there. While I was at my seat worshiping, I heard my voice in the speaker, and I was like saying, "Oh, but I'm not using a microphone." But my eyes were closed. I didn't know what was happening. And then I kind of blinked my eyes a bit when I realized the evangelist that was running the session, he had the microphone at my mouth, and I was just singing over the mic. He continued maybe for about 3 5 minutes. I'm not sure how long, but I was just worshiping because I wanted to get something from God. I was just wrestling with God, wrestling with God. And the service went on well. Just as the service was over, I was heading through the door back to the car, and the man said, "That gentleman in the blue shirt, I need to talk to you." And I'm saying, this is it, because now I'm saying, God, you are now showing me that it doesn't matter how far I run, how far I hide, ever,
Gee.
you are with me. And
Yeah.
that was, I mean, the amazing thing. The man called me back, and I'm gonna cut it short and then do the song. He said 5 specific things to me, because I know him and he met me years ago, but he honestly didn't remember me. Because when he started talking to me, I thought he was gonna, go back to when I was in St. Elizabeth serving and everything. He didn't remember me. I was the one who had to remind him that I met him years ago. But God just showed him. And he said to me, you realize when you were in the service, I held the microphone at your mouth? And I said, yes, I realized. He said, God showed me what you were going through, and he told me 5 things. He said, I'm going to be obedient with God and tell you what God is telling me. And the 5 things he said defined even the reason why I was at the service. And that was when I realized it doesn't matter how far I run, how discouraged I am, the call of God is still on my life. And that's just it
Praise
in a
God.
That's
Praise
just it.
God. Dale, before you sing,
Yes.
a verse comes to mind, and that is in Psalm 139. Wherever you go, if you take your bed in hell, wherever you go, I am there.
Morning,
I'm
I'm
not
there.
quoting, I'm not quoting, but that's what it means. Wherever you go, He's there. And
Yeah.
God is relentless in pursuing His people for purpose. And that's what I'm hearing in your testimony. And it doesn't
Yes.
matter the ups and downs that you have gone through, God had a purpose through it for you to learn through it. And I just thank God for your testimony. And I'm just here, just can't wait to hear this song.
All right. Bless you, bless you. So this song is a song that I wrote the song, and if you listen to the words, it's just really my testimony. I consider it my testimony. The title of the song is "I Really Love You." Most places I go to sing, I do this song, either the fast version or the slow version, and it's just a song that sums up my testimony. I've been serving my God since the age of 12. Since the day that Jesus saved me, my life has never been the same. He has changed my life, and now I'm free. That is why I love him so. The chorus is very simple. I really love you. Yes, I really do. And I adore you every single day. I appreciate you. will always do. Oh Lord, He keeps holding to my feeble, feeble hands. Many, many times when I doubt Him, He assures me He's there. He has been my help when I'm in need. That is why I love Him so. Oh, I really love you, Jesus, and I adore you every single day. I appreciate you, and I will always do. Oh God, I really love you, Jesus, and I adore you every single day. I appreciate you, and I will always do, Jesus, and I will always do, and I will always do.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Dayle T. Thank you for sharing with our listeners and viewers that beautiful song. Thank you. And before we close this session, I want you to just take a minute to talk to our listeners about dealing with struggles in finding purpose. Just
Mhm.
briefly.
All right. So I shared on an interview last year. One of the things I use to encourage myself as a person with, and we brought that out, that sometimes you have so many different gifts and so many different talents and so many different abilities, and it can become confusing in your head. But what I use to guide what I do is that inner passion. And I told you earlier, if I can't put my all into something, then I don't do it. Don't bring me in an helicopter to say what it's not my passion. Don't bring me on the football field because sports is not my passion. But give me anything: ministry, music, reaching out, evangelism, missions. That's me. So I know in terms of my purpose. That's my purpose. That's my ministry. That's my passion. Yes, there are other things, but I know the one that overrides everything else is me serving in the ministry. So if you're watching, this is something that you can use to guide your decisions, guide where you put your energy, because you don't want to be wasting your entire life doing something you're not enjoying, you're not reaching anybody, you're not feeling fulfilled, and you become an old person regretting that you wasted all those years. So you might be watching, just try to find that inner peace, that inner confidence, try to find that place of comfort where God can use you to do that which you feel is bubbling up inside of you. Don't get distracted by the other things. Yes, God will bless you with other gifts and talents, but there's going to be one. You might be a praise and worship leader, and He just blesses you with that gift and ability and the anointing just to do worship and bring people in a new place with God. It might be a keyboard player, a musician, an instrumentalist, whatever it is. And if your position in the church is just to encourage, I've had a lot of those people, an encourager. I guess the Bible calls it the spirit of helps or something like that. But you might just be that person God uses to encourage other persons in the body of Christ. Do it with all your might, knowing that your reward is sure. So be encouraged. Don't be discouraged if you're not being used the way you think you should be used of God. Find other creative ways to enhance your ministry and to minister to people. Now, with social media, you don't need a pulpit. You can go on your Facebook, preach your sermons, sing, interviews, do whatever it is,
Amen.
and still reach souls for God without running down the pulpit, which a lot of people do, and they end up missing their purpose. I hope this helps, and someone will be encouraged by this. We all need to serve in our own capacity. Don't overrun what Sister Pat is doing. Don't overrun what the other person is doing. Stay in your lane. Let God use you in your lane. He will elevate you when he sees it fit. And I could talk all day about that same elevation, because sometimes I get discouraged. Sometimes I think, whoa, you should be further gone in ministry. But God is always reminding me, I'm using you in my little ways. Just humble yourself, youth, and let me use you. I guess that's what God is saying to me in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways. So sis, I hope that has been good. So much more we could share, but it's really good to be on your show and just to share some of what God is doing in my life. Purpose cannot die, sis. Purpose cannot die.
Amen. Well, Dayle Thompson, Dayle T,
Yes,
thank
yes,
you for your time and
yes,
thank
you
you for sharing your heart with us. Thank
yes,
you. Thank you so much. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to
yes.
Raw and Unedited Stories. Thank you for just staying with us today. And if you have a story to tell, click the link below and remember, subscribe, like, and share. And if you need to contact Dayle T, click the description button below too, and you will see the contact information. Thank you so much. Have a phenomenal day.